Just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar. I'm here with my main man, the Cookinator, the Captain Cook. What's going on, brother?
Easy.
How often do you get called Captain Cook?
Too much by the boys, I think. They like to carry on a little bit. Especially Cody sometimes, but they like to
Cody
give it
Walks.
to me. Yep.
I mean, I've heard he's a pest of epic proportions.
He is. On his day, it's like him and Renault take turns. You
Okay.
know, Renault will be up one day, and then he'll be down the next, and then Cody will see that as a chance for him to go up and take the reins to just piss me off. So, but there's always one of them each day.
Do you just say, boys, I'm not going to pass you the ball, you keep going this way?
Well, that's what I say. I just threatened him. I was like, well, Renault already has a sook that I go to Cody more. But
Yeah.
like, Cody's just executing more, isn't he? So Renault actually gets the ball more. So,
Yep.
but, you know, they're both whingers. I probably, you know, it's a hard job to deal with those two each week.
Mate, I tell you what, it'd be like a parent, like
It is, mate. Yeah.
parent-kid relationship.
Yep. One's angry and the other one's a sook. So I won't tell you which one.
Mate, I think Rene's a sook. You say, Rene, just lift your game, bro.
You said it.
How's it been anyway? Like, it was a long year. You know, Rabbitohs, I consider it a successful year for you guys. I know you guys would have hoped to have gone to the grand final, and you're probably, 10 minutes away from that. But how's the body after that mammoth of a year?
Yeah, it was a massive year for everyone. And, COVID was probably one of the best things to happen to the Bunnies. We come out of the blocks at the start of the year not very well and, didn't play some good footy. And the COVID break sort of happened and we looked at how we're doing things. The coaches swapped roles. JD went to defensive coach, Ben Hornby went to attack, which obviously made more sense because Benny being a halfback.
So was he initially the defensive coach, Benny Hornby?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was sharing it sort of with Wayne as well, and then JD was doing the attack. So they swapped that over and it worked a lot better that way. JD did a great job of getting out, defensive mindset, and we defended really well. But it was a successful year for South. Obviously got to the prelim, but that's the third time in a row. But considering how people thought we weren't even, chance of not even top 8, definitely not top 4.
Honestly, I was thinking like you'd be lucky to make the 8 just because you lost such experience in Sutto, Inglis, Burgess.
Yeah, so I think a lot of our players stepped up. Our forward pack did great. They were very consistent all year, and that's why I just couldn't handle the criticism they were getting. And I think it was just an easy out for some people just to say that we didn't have Sam and so we're going to struggle. But so it was a great learning experience for a lot of our young boys and be better for it next year.
Oh, it's massive. Like at the start of the year, that was my issue. I was like, I just don't know. I said basically like, I don't know if they've got the forward pack for it, but if they unearth some like not local, but guys in the squad that before were hanging around the 25 mark, the 24 mark. Yeah. And you did that, absolutely. Yeah. Like some of the forwards were just playing out of their skin, above their weight. Yeah. And by the end of the year, it felt like that you had really figured out what kind of footy you wanted to play too. Yeah. Even yourself, like it looked like it took a bit for you to figure out what you wanted to do with the way you played. Yeah,
and it's with Latrell coming into the spine as well, we're trying to get that combination there with him and how he best plays. And to be honest, we're just getting it right. Probably a couple of weeks before that Parramatta game when he obviously got injured. So. Hopefully we can use those combinations from this year and build into next year. We've got Jyo coming in, which is going to be great for us in the forwards as well. But we had players like Junior Totola being mentioned for around State of Origin. Yep. Keon Kulumatangi did a great job for us off the bench.
I thought Burgess had career best year.
And Burgess, I think he's just been, we've had his brothers in the team this year. I think we've seen how really valuable he really is to us. I think he just got overshadowed a little bit by Sam and George, but Tom's been really consistent the last couple of years, and then you got Mark Nichols as well, who's a bit of experience off the bench.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good build for next year.
And also, like there were even like obviously you're not going to say, but there were even like coaching decisions like that at the start. You had Murray out in the wing, the wing on the sting. He probably could. But then you moved him in the forwards, into the middle, and I think the combination himself, you and Walker have, and Reynolds, it's just too good to break apart, I reckon.
Yeah, I understood why they wanted to go that way with Cam at back row, especially to prolong his career probably too, the way he treats his good-looking body on the field.
Yeah.
But
no one's more disappointed with the way he treats his body than me.
But for me, I always missed him every time. Like, someone would get injured and Cam would get pushed out to the centres or back row, and I'd be on the field filthy, just leave him in the middle with me. I miss him when he goes out there, and because I feel like we do have a good combination, and I do rely on him sometimes, and and just feels right when we have him there. He cleans up a lot of stuff for us.
Well, even New South Wales really missed his like momentum changes.
Yep.
Like he's so good in defence, but his ability to quick play the ball,
Yep.
it can just change everything. Like
Yep.
having a shit set, and then boom, he gets a quick play the ball. You see that, and then the whole game can change. And I felt like you guys really missed that in the Origin series, because he just, even in his debut year, he was changing the game coming on the field. Like,
yeah, he did. Yeah, and this Origin series, what did we get? One carry, out of it until he got that injury, which was no good. Like, and just the momentum, like you said, he has in the game. He's got great leg speed, good footwork, and he's obviously not the biggest lock, but I think it's the way the game's going. Everyone wants a Cam Murray in their side now, and this is the way he can get his body into that position and get through the line, get down, and create that momentum with a quick play of the ball.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't see those little things.
Absolutely. Like they, and this is like no knock on, like, say, a Billy Army kick out. Like, I think he's incredible, but he's that big, explosive player that you're like, holy shit. Whereas like a Cam Murray, he might do 3 hit-ups, but those 3 hit-ups are just so valuable. Like they may not be even though he does make line breaks, but they may not be the massive line break, but it's 3 consecutive quick play the balls. It just fucking changes everything. Absolutely everything.
Yeah, that's right. And obviously you got big Solomon and that. You need a big bopper in your team.
Yeah.
Ours is obviously Tom, but you just got to obviously share the workload. And then almost reversing the role too. Sometimes you get big Tommy like laying the platform and getting a bit of a quick play of the ball, and then when you got Cam off the back of that, with footwork, he's very hard to handle, and he knows that, like I said, get his body in position, and then when he can play off the back of that.
And so this year you got into the semis, played Penrith. I honestly thought the game was there for you to win. Like it was there. It was like right there. I just felt like there was periods there where your kick pressure really let you down. Like I think that everything else was on song.
Yeah.
I just reckon it was just like a few little errors here and there. But did it feel like that on the field? Like you were just this close to it?
Yes, definitely, and more so than the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Because we knew they were very beatable. We've kicked pressure for one. Like whoever was taking that last carry leading into that kick for Penrith did such a great job that, and Nath was standing so far back that he had all the time in the world that we just
couldn't get to him.
And we needed to win that play the ball leading into it. But when Renault almost kicked that 40-20,
yes,
we would have won that game, no doubt about that. We can say that anyway, but the way that we're just starting to build momentum, and like you said, we're probably 10 minutes away. If the game was going 10 minutes longer, we probably would have scored and probably scored another one. That's just how we play when we get on a bit of a roll. So, but look, to Penrith's credit, they had a hell of a season. They deserved to be in there, or whoever makes the grand final deserves to be there. But they had a hell of a year for it.
It's kind of like, obviously you're stung that you didn't make the grand final, but if any team is to get there, you're like, they did play hectic all year. So it's kind of like, fuck,
they didn't fluke their way through the whole year.
No.
They broke some records on the way.
Fucking oath. It was an incredible year by them. But you're totally right. I definitely felt like it was the closest out of all the years that you could really look at your side and go, they might be a grand final side. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, you look at two sides and you're like, that's a grand final side.
Yeah.
So it was close. Okay, so watching the grand final, what do you think of the grand final? Did you pick the Storm or?
Yeah, I picked the Storm. Probably a bit biased, but I thought if anyone was going to beat the Storm, it could have been us. I don't know,
the way you play.
Just with the close battles that we've had with them as well. But geez, they played well in that grand final, the Storm. Penrith will come back at the end. I thought just those young boys, when Storm had one in the bin, I thought there was a chance they were going to come back and chase them down, but they played too well. But it was a hard game to watch, the grand final, when you miss out in the prelim. You have this feeling where you're like, well, might as well got out round one of the semis.
Yeah, it doesn't change it.
Now you got to watch this game that you're 80 minutes away from playing. So look, Storm were too clinical. I thought they've been outstanding. Even though they didn't finish the minor premiers, I thought they were the best side this year. Yeah,
they really clicked. Like probably the last 8 games, I reckon they really clicked, and you could see what they were trying to do. Okay, so Origin comes around. Obviously you're stoked to make Origin. Like it's the best ever. But was it a different feeling in the sense like I'm tired or my shoulders are sore? What was the feeling like?
No, it was actually obviously very exciting to obviously be picked again, but the sense of going into another bubble from what we've been in was it didn't worry me too much. I was actually quite excited. Obviously, leaving the little one at home for a month, I was going to miss the family. But I guess being in a different environment, players from other teams and players you haven't seen and caught up with for a long time. So it was almost a good time. But losing that third game almost didn't make it like a waste of time. But it felt like you really wasted that opportunity. sacrificing that time to be away from family. So,
yeah, absolutely. It's the bubble just like, Christ, like so much more kind of. It's hard because if you talk about the bubble, people immediately like, oh, there's people that work away and rah rah, and it's like, and I've spoken about this on the podcast before, and it's like, well, we're not discounting those people at all. Like, that's hard as, but it is a shock to the system to just all of a sudden be living in this, going to training then going straight home kind of thing.
Yeah, because that's like a lot of the people at the start when everyone was talking about the players having to go away. Everyone was like, oh, well, my partner goes away, fly out. They go away for 6 months, but that's what they signed up for at the time when they chose that job, and some of them have to do that, for their livelihood. But for us, we're lucky enough to be in this game, and that's just wasn't what we were used to. So some of these boys like Melbourne, massive, obviously the Warriors, massive effort for what they did to go away from their families for that time, because like you said, it's a shock to the system. It's not what we're used to for all us players.
And so walk us through the series. You come out, game 1, you're 10-0 up, and it's looking like you probably left some points on the field in that first half, but it is looking like, I guess, what the bookies would have predicted, in the sense that you looked a bit too strong, a bit too fast. What happened in that first game?
That's where we lost the series.
Yeah, I think
definitely
so.
That second half is where we lost the series. Even though we were 10-0 up at half time, there was more points out there. We probably didn't. We probably tried to chase too many points instead of playing the hard yards, playing origin footy, going up the middle, winning field possession, then scoring points. We tried to chase them all the time, and to Queensland credit, they kept it to 10 points, and they just came out too strong in the second half. And why we didn't match that is just, that's where we lost the series. So we won in Sydney. We shouldn't have even had to worry about going to Suncorp and trying to win the series up there. That's where we lost it second half in Adelaide.
It was it was a crazy game because it still went down to the wire. It's still like that first game still went down to that last try. So what was the kind of the talk coming off the field from that last game? Was it a very bitter, disappointing feeling? Yeah,
it was a disappointing feeling. I think it was a bit of a letdown because we, like I just said, I thought like we should have won it in game 1, and but there was sort of some relief as well at times as well, because this season was finally complete. But just it was disappointing because you've been through that whole month. We should have gone out there and if we played to our style of footy and completed a bit better, we're just out enthused up there in Queensland, and they just dominated us and didn't allow us any good field position. And obviously had Munster at 6, who didn't play too bad either. And
walk us through, so you win that second game and it's incredible. Like, yous are looking fucking red hot. Everyone's like, he's like, he pretty much played the way he's supposed to play in that second game. And then the third game, what was it like running out to that? Because that's the first time you played pretty much all year at the start. A full pack Suncorp. What was that like?
Yeah, it was awesome to see. From the way the game's gone this year with no crowd. We played up at Suncorp round 2 with no crowd.
Yeah.
And to play the last game of the year, full crowd was a good sign for the game. But, after that game in Sydney, we're like, why didn't we just do that in game 1? That's what we wanted to do. We just didn't execute. We didn't do what we wanted to do. And after that, I was full of confidence. We just have to do that again up there. Obviously, we knew that was going to be a different environment up there. Running out, it was deafening. You couldn't hear a thing out there. Obviously, between when you were trying to talk to your teammates, couldn't hear a thing. So, and then the next thing you know, we're taking hit-up carries out of our own end, and Queensland just flying off the line. It was very. I thought they played really well up there, and they kept the foot on the throat up there. And even though it was sort of come down to the wire at the end, they deserved to win that game.
Yeah, it did come down to the wire, but they were dominant for quite a prolonged period. Was it the most intense game you ever played, or it was the most
definitely
intense
the
game?
most intense. I think so, because again, like, there was the first time we had full crowds there as well, and so much on the line. I guess those two things together, it was very fast. It was one of the fastest games I've been a part of, and it just. I'd probably have to say with those three things that it probably was the most intense game so far.
It was crazy. What was it like seeing bloody Munster just go on skits, man?
So we, in the second game, don't know how much of a difference he may have made in that second game. I think it was almost the reverse of the second game, what they did to us, but we were quite dominant in the second one. But I have him up in there in the top 2 players in the world, and I've had him there for a long time. I've had a couple of big years from Teddy and stuff like that. I've probably maybe arguably got above him, but he's always been there last. He's a footballer. He's dangerous. He's tough as well, and just he's quite a big body too. He's hard to handle. He's very strong.
Yeah, nice.
He just backs himself, and that's what I love watching about him. And obviously, him and myself are the original, bloke at a bar guys.
You're the OGs, bros. You're the first people I thought.
Main sponsorship,
mate.
Lucrative deal.
Honestly, that shoot, I'll just always remember it. It was fucking so good. Like, I couldn't believe it was happening because I was just like, I'm running a shoot. Remember, like, I don't know if I said this to you, but so people that are listening, so I organised a shoot. I thought of we actually were supposed to go down to a field, and a team was supposed to turn up, and it was raining, and then so we had to cancel on the day, take it to a pub. And then the team was supposed to come to the pub. They just didn't turn up again.
There's only 2 of them or something.
Yeah, 2 of them turned up.
Then we got all the randoms.
Then we got the randoms to put the jerseys on. And then on top of that, so I thought when you hire a photographer, they direct the shoot. That's what I thought. Is that what you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought. And so I got there, and he was he don't get me wrong, he's incredible. Like, you can see the shots there, friggin' amazing. But I had to direct the shoot, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, I've never done this before.
All we pretty much had to do was pissing down rain, remember, outside, torrential rain. So me and Munster just had to drink beers and punt for about 5 hours.
It's not bad.
And you took photos, and every now and then you'd say turn and smile, and that was it. So
it was honestly it. That was honestly it. Mate, that was a very special, that was a special moment in my life because it was just like the start of, a life-changing event. So it takes back to young Cookie when you used to be a bitch.
Still a bitch.
Takes back to the beach sprint days when you were just a young whippersnapper.
Yeah, I know. It's I have to blame Gags for that. I think we were doing a media day one time, and he just come past and tipped him up. About that, and he was joking around, but then they took it real serious and just ran with it. So it's beyond the joke now, to be honest.
It's almost traumatic now.
But yeah, it has been. But that's all I get. All the people write back to me. Didn't you used to be a beach sprinter? So, but
So I bet your Walks just runs with it.
Yeah, they do, and especially Renault the most as well. Like every time they're walking past, if you're doing something like a train media wise, he'll just yell it out. Beach sprinter. Yeah. So, but I did go all right.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I did go all right. Okay, so a young fella, did you play footy from a very young age?
Yeah, so I think I played soccer just for the young, when under 5 and 6s. There was no footy teams then like there is now, but all my brothers and cousins played footy, so I started playing under 7s, Helensburgh Tigers. Went through down to Thurl Butchers for a couple of years just because our team folded at Helensburgh, and did all my Harramats and SG ball through the Illawarra Steelers. Then I went out to Penrith though for 20s, a bit of an opportunity out there. They had a couple of guys down at Dragons, Cam King and Mitch Rain, doing really well. So just went there for opportunity, and but after that didn't get signed to stay on for first grade or reserve grade.
Okay, so you went to Penrith, like they said, come and trial with us?
Yeah, I sort of got just signed when they said it was a good opportunity to go out there and be a starting hooker for under 20s out there.
Okay, under 20s,
Played a little bit of bench and started the first year, and then mostly started the second year as well. But didn't do enough to sort of get a deal there with the Windsor Wolves and that as well. So it was a bit of a.
So you didn't even get Q Cup deal?
No, nothing. So
and for people listening, there's the first grade top 30. And if you're a solid player, you can usually squeeze into that squad. But to not even get a Q Cup deal, there's guys that work fucking full-time jobs and get in that squad, And
that's what we normally do for New South Wales Cup, not
Queensland
Cup.
Apologies.
Queensland. But I went back and got a pre-season with the Cutters. They first come back into the side, which is where I first met you.
Yep.
We'll get to, I'm sure.
A terrible version of me. The worst version of me possible.
And then, so I was fourth string there, I think, at one stage, hooker, and they sort of didn't cut me from the side, but I was allowed to keep training, and I went back and trialled for Helensburgh the first round of the year.
Yeah, okay, so they let you do the pre-season?
Yep.
So did you ring the Cutters and say, I'd like to have an opportunity, or?
That was their first year, so the new team coming in, and I was a local boy, so I sort of went down to the meeting, got in the trial the train-on squad. I think it was 40 of us in that first one, and then we slowly got cut down to however many. But I didn't play round one, because I was going to be about the third or fourth hooker at the time. So I went back and did a trial with Helensburgh the first time, but then I was put into the side round 2 and then stayed there pretty much.
Oh, okay. So they basically said, look, like you should probably go see Helensburgh. You're probably going to get some footy back in the local league.
Yeah.
And so you went back to Helensburgh, you trialled with them, you played one game with them? Or
just one trial game with them, then their season started a bit later than the New South Wales Cup. So I didn't play any round games with Helensburgh, just then went into the cutter side round 2. Played the whole year, bit of mix of on the wing. Used to start on the wing sometimes and then go on to play for Kingy when he'd go off for a rest from hooker. So I'd go from wing to hooker and then back to the wing to finish off the game. So
what at this point, what do you got? You got brushed from Penrith, you got pushed back to Helensburgh. Was there ever a time where you're like, and then you're getting pushed to the wing? Were you going, fuck, I don't know if this is going to work?
I didn't mind getting pushed to the wing because I knew it was Paul McGregor, who was just trying to keep me on the field. So I saw that as a good sign that he actually wanted me in the team. He wanted me on the field. So he was doing whatever it was to keep me on the field. Yep. So he'd have me on the wing, then I'd go to hooker. So that was a positive sign for me as well. So, but I hadn't had I obviously just wanted to play NRL. So I wasn't ready to give up yet, and I hadn't had any. I hadn't made it to that level yet, so I couldn't really see if I was going to make it or not. You know what I mean?
You haven't tested yourself.
Yeah, I haven't tested myself, so I hadn't got there, so I couldn't really stop when I hadn't, so been told no yet. So there was knockbacks, but then there was little things along the way that kept me going as well.
And so so that you get through that first year, and did you then cement your spot in that the New South Wales Cup side?
So the second year I earned myself a pre-season with the Dragons.
Okay, first grade squad.
Which was good, and
it was a train and trial, wasn't it?
Yeah, train and trial. So I think pretty much like a summer deal sort of thing, and trained all pre-season with them, and then it was about you train a couple of days at the start, and then you go back to Illawarra Cutters for the games, and then back then you get I think you still do that training wage as well for the guys that are just on training deals. So you get a certain wage each week, and then they told me go to we can't pay you anymore, like salary cap stuff, so we're going to have to, can't train anymore. But I'd already stopped my job because we were doing full time, so I might as well just keep training for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
But lucky I did that because a week and a half later, Pricey gave me my debut. Kingy got injured, so I debuted off the bench with Mitch Rain. So
before the preseason, you'd gone and quit your job, and you're like, I'm going to put everything into this.
Yeah, well, you sort of had to quit,
you have to
quit the job because it was just the hours of pre-season. So Shane Millard, who he gave me the job. He's been great for me for the whole career. But he gave me the job, but I had to give that up just so I could go do pre-season. And the job would have been back there in a couple of weeks if I wanted to go there, but had nothing else to do for it, and I might as well keep training, and I did. And
so, did you say to Pricey, "Is it okay if I just stick around and train?"
Yeah, he was fine with it. He said, "Yeah, of course," because I couldn't go back to the job yet. So, I did that, and I was lucky I stayed on because I played that game, and I stayed on a couple more weeks. I did obviously play the one game, and then I went back, and then I was needed to come in about round 21, I think it was, again for another game. So just the two.
So you played. So you'd made your debut, and then they dropped you again to Q Cup, New South Wales Cup, or do they keep you in the squad to train first full time?
Nah, so I think I trained about 2 more weeks, but then once Kingy was back, the injury was fine, then I just went back full time, and then I think it was a bit of a weird one because halfway through the year they told me they're not going to re-sign me for next year. So that's when that was my biggest one where I was like, shit, I've had a crack now, and now they don't want me. So then we needed a fullback in Cutters, and that's when Mary goes, well, do you want to play fullback? And I said, sure, why not? And that's when I played the rest of the year at fullback, and then the next thing you know, they wanted to sign me again, but it was a bit weird. He wanted me to sign me as a hooker, but I'd been playing fullback the rest of the year. So.
Okay, so they came to you and said, we're not going to re-sign you. You get dropped back to New South Wales Cup. Mary says, we'll put you at fullback. Yeah. And then after half a year at the end of the season?
Pretty much at the presentation at the end of the year, I remember I still remember Pricey and Mary standing there. And it was weird because Mary was going into assistant coach next year with them, and Price like, oh, we want to keep you. And Mary's like, well, what do you want to keep him for? Like, you didn't want him at the start of the year. And he's like, it was real awkward watching these two. Like, the Mary was like, sort of had my back. So he was like, "What do you want?" He goes, "Oh, hooker." He goes, "But he's playing fullback." Like,
Yeah,
playing fullback
and you
for
brushed him at hooker.
So, yeah, that was a funny one. I still remember ringing Mary while he was on his Bali holiday.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do with I had a deal from the Bulldogs, a bit of an opportunity. So, yeah, it was a weird one, but that's where I ended up at the Bulldogs from there.
So do you think it was the lack of certainty, like the fact that they'd brushed you and then like it was bizarre that made you want to try somewhere else, that you felt you might be more valued, I guess? Or what was the reason for going for the Doggies?
Yeah, I think, well, they still had like Mitch Rain and Cameron King there, so I didn't know what exactly how much game time I could have possibly gotten. So I still think to this day that the Bulldogs deal came up as a like Shane Millard calling Jimmy Dimmick and asking for a favour to sign me.
Really?
I honestly reckon that's
Wow,
how it happened. So I reckon Shane just called him and said, "You got to give the young kid a go. Just give him a minimum wage or whatever it was. Just let him get him up there." He's never admitted to me, but I still feel like that's what happened.
Yeah.
And that's what got the deal done, and that's how I ended up at the Bulldogs. And it was a funny one because I walked in the first meeting with Des, and he's like, I said, I goes, "I want to train you at hooker to go back to play hooker now." Here I am thinking I was a fullback. That's what I got signed on the Dogs for, was fullback. But,
you got signed as a fullback.
I feel like it was, yeah. And then
What the fuck?
and then Des goes, "Oh, well, I know he can do it fullback, so we'll keep you at hooker as a backup to Mick." So that's when I get put back in the middle. Yeah.
What the fuck? That's what a weird story. So take us back to your debut, though. What do you remember from the debut? Like, I mean, because it wasn't an easy road for you. It wasn't the normal route. You'd been dropped from the Penrith Panthers. You got dropped back to Helensburgh, then you fought your way back into New South Wales Cup. What was that debut like for you? Do you remember anything from it?
Yeah, very special day. Even the moment when Pricey told me in his office, a bit of watery eyes there, and then obviously got to call mum and dad and my brothers and sister and tell them. I still remember it was Heritage round, so at the SCG as well, so a pretty special round to debut, round 6. 13 minutes, I think, game time.
Yeah, 13 minutes.
Over half time, I think it was too, so I think it was,
like 5 minutes each way, pretty much.
So, yeah, and I think he... and I think Price just said, "You blew out quick then, did you?" So I still remember just running on the field and Matt Cooper just going to me, "Get in and take the run." So I'd never take this run today, but it was deep in the corner, tackle 2 from a fullback, and here I am scooting out. So like, that's
wanted to run.
Yeah, but it got me straight in the game, and that's what he wanted to do. And it's something I've actually sort of carried on every time we've had a debutant come into our team. Whenever they come on, I try and just first thing just feed them the ball or get them into the first tackle. So.
That's crazy. Like you make it a point, if there is a debutant, you say get in here for that first set, and you're looking for him to get him in straight away, pretty much. Yeah,
just try and get him into the game straight away. I felt like it worked for me. The only time it hasn't worked was against Melbourne this year. Keon Kulamatanga came on. His first carry was forward. I threw him a forward pass. So.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Steve Cookie.
Yeah, well done, mate.
the veteran helping out.
Yeah, so I let him down there, but other than that, I think it's gone well.
I've
never asked him.
Fuck. Okay, so the debut happens. You sign with the Bulldogs as a fullback, but then you get pushed into hooker. Is this where you began to learn the kind of craft of Mick Innes? Because Rainey and King are relatively young. About your age, pretty much.
Yeah.
So you can learn off them, obviously. But Mick Innes had been there and done that at that point in his career.
Yeah, almost probably as a young kid, coming up against those boys, Cam being the same age as me, Mitch a year older, I probably felt like I was more in competition with them. Where when I came to Mick Innes, I was like, well, I'm never trying. It was weird. I'm not trying to take his spot because it was the quality player he was, and so I just tried to learn everything I possibly could off him, and which was actually a lot there. I really enjoyed that year, and there was some moments where Des always just said if Mick ever gets injured, I get the opportunity, and it happened at a couple of games that year as well. I got to play. The first one was really weird with the Dogs. I got named at halfback, the 7, I think, just to protect one of us. We'll say it was to protect Mick. Mick playing halfback.
Definitely.
But because I was wearing the 7, the whole media went into a spin about how the famous number 7s are the Dogs. So,
oh, no.
But then I just ran out and played hooker, so it was all good. Which was
really hilarious.
A bit weird, but it was one of Desi's little mind games
he was playing. That's going through all the famous sevens, and it's like Damien Cook.
So
what do you think? Do you remember anything that Mick had said to you, or a a training session that you vividly remember that was like it really sunk deep into you that he taught you or anything like that?
He didn't say too much. If I ever asked him any questions, he was more than happy to answer, but I was watching him, how he carried himself, how professional he was about everything. I tried to challenge him every time we did conditioning as well, and he was very fit and all that as well. So I tried to stay with him as much as I could, just watching the little things he does around training, whether it's recovery, stretching, all those little things. I feel like I learned a lot of that. And the main one was just how he plays with the middles through the field. He loves to jump out and drift across sideways. Yep. A lot of things that I just watched and tried to mimic as well myself, and I feel like they're a part of my game now too.
Absolutely. Okay, so that year, do you think that that's where you learnt the most of your trade, or was it a bit later on? Because you're about 23 at this stage, aren't you? 22, 23?
Yeah, 23. Yeah, probably 22. Yeah. 22, first year of Dogs. Yeah.
2014. You made your debut against the Eels. And so the next year you play in the Nines, you get named, so you're still not even really a full-time first grader in the sense you're training with first grade, but you only played 4 or 5 games in that first 3 years, pretty much.
Yeah, first 3 years. So 20. I debuted in 21, 2 games, and 22, 2 games, and then that's when Mick moved on to the Sharks. I know Alicia was coming in, but that's when I really felt like I had an opportunity to be starting full time, playing, and I felt like, that's when I really thought I deserved it then. Even though he was playing really good footy as well and hadn't come through the 20s as well, so that was a tough year because, like I said, I'd got there, I'd played a couple of games, and then that was a hit I took where he had the jump on me. So this young kid if he keeps going and continue to be a great player, then I'm going to be stuck in reserve grade here. Yeah. So that whole year in reserve grade until the last 5 games, I think 3 of them were round games and then 2 finals. I think that's right. And that year I pretty much was like, well, I'm not going to play first grade this year. We had a really good New South Wales Cup side. Let's try and win the comp here. Yeah. Next thing you know, Alicia, syndesmosis, I think. Yeah, I think he did that. So which put me for the rest of the year.
Far out. So did Des speak to you at all in the sense that, was it Desi still at the club then? Were you frustrated in the sense that you had worked hard to kind of be the next person behind Ennis, and he had kind of basically said to you, you're the next cab off the rank behind Ennis. Yeah. Did he speak to you at all? He just selected Alicia over you?
Yeah, I think he did. I'd always go in and ask him, what parts do you need me to improve on and stuff like that, or where can I, how can I push in that next level of first grade. But the thing with Alicia had great under 20s. He'd come in and he started playing first grade, and he continued to play good. So, and the Bulldogs were going quite well then. We're winning games. So why change a winning team? He was doing his job. So okay. He got the first crack, but he also deserved to play there week in, week out as well.
So you kind of could understand that they're thinking, and it wasn't like you were sitting there kicking stones or anything like that.
He got his crack, and he played well and continued to. So that's where he got the jump on me. Yeah.
And so that year you make the New South Wales Cup Team of the Year for a second year. So I mean, you're really plying your trade. You know what I mean? It's not like you're going back in New South Wales Cup and not having a dig or whatever. So in your mind, are you still going like, I'm going to play first grade, I'm going to cement a spot? Are you still, because a lot of players can get to that point and go, fuck, maybe I'm just going to be fringy for the rest of my life, kind of thing. What was the mindset for you?
Well, that year in 15, it was probably one of the harder years where, when he, like I said, Alicia being younger than me, playing, if he keeps continuing to do this, I might not actually get my crack again. And if I don't get to first grade, then how am I going to prove myself that I can play to other clubs? So it was a tough one. But I think I was lucky because we're playing really well in reserve grade. We had a good side and we're up there near the top. So if we were down the bottom, it might have been an even harder year where I might have, who knows how it could have gone. But that definitely kept me interested. A good, enjoyable environment that we went back to there. So, that definitely kept me going. But then once I got into first grade, first game that year was against Souths, and I had a really good game, and that's where it sort of, those 5 games in a row, yeah.
And they signed you. So South signed you in that 2-year contract. So when they signed you, were they basically saying, we want you as our starting hooker, or?
Yeah, well, Matt, I went to a cafe. Madge was the coach at the time. Met up with him, and he just said how, he said Cam was a bit young at this stage.
Cam McInnes.
Cam McInnes, and he's sort of looking for someone to. Cam had actually played a fair bit of footy though, so he's more experienced than me at that stage, NRL games wise, and he said, looking for a hooker to come in and probably and start as well. So whether he just said that to get me to sign with the club or not, it worked. Yeah. So we got there and. Really, we had a really good pre-season. Me and Cam got along really well. We trained hard together, pushed each other really well, and then I thought I was doing all right. Training well. But then Madge just said, "Look, I'm going to go with Cam. He knows the system better than you at the moment, just the South system." So, that whole year was a bit of Cam started for a bit. I was off the bench some games. I think I played 15, 16 games that year. Which was massive for me to play that many games after how long it took me to get going. But yeah, I'd come on and play 10 minutes at the end of a game, play 30 minutes, play 15 minutes after half time, start some games. It was a really messy year.
So you're not getting those reps that you need like that?
Yeah.
Good solid 60, 70 minutes of footy?
Yeah, well, I feel like as a hooker, there's obviously two different types. There's one that can come off the bench, a utility that can really just... And you can play that role if you want to, you can play that role, but... a hooker is going to look to play 70, 80 minutes. You want to work your way into a game. You want to see what the defence is doing and
set things up
and
target people.
Yeah, so you can't just... I've had to do that role in the past where I've come on and just take a million runs and do all that sort of stuff. But you need to get... that's why I didn't have the time to sort of get on there and show what I could. I had to do a certain job for the team. And so then sometimes I was obviously dropped from the team because... I understood why, because if I'm only playing the last 10 minutes, I'm not really offering much more, so you're better off getting another big boy in there, I guess.
Absolutely, to come on and just do those runs that you need kind of thing. Okay, so that's 2016. Then 2017. So that rolls around, and at this point, did you get the jump over McInnes, or was he in the starting side 2017?
17 was Farah.
Okay.
So Farah was coming to the club. It was rumoured he was coming to the club.
Yep. And I'm sure you're sitting there going, far out.
It was pretty much a race to whoever me and Cam could get out, pretty much get a release and get out.
Really?
And I didn't know what he was doing or how much, but obviously he was setting up a deal with the Dragons, which he beat me to it. And I'd pretty much agreed to Sharks. I'd met up with them. Because I'd actually been... It was before this when I'd been sort of... I think maybe tried to get traded overseas. So I almost went overseas before I went to the South. So then that sort of came up again. And that's when we found out that Robbie was definitely coming to the club. We sort of got permission to find another club. Yeah. But pretty much if it was in the Super League, that was it. Yeah, okay. So when we come back and said, we met with the Sharks, we're going to ask for a release now. They knocked it back straight away. Little did I know that Cam had signed to Dragons as well. So,
okay. Did they know that Cam had signed to the Dragons?
Yeah, so I think that's part of the reason probably why they
knocked it back.
Knocked mine back, because they weren't going to lose both the hookers. Okay.
So they basically said to you can both look for somewhere else. We're bringing in Robbie. They didn't say we're bringing in Robbie yet, but if they're saying to go look somewhere else, something's happening. Yeah, well, that's when it definitely got confirmed that that he was coming. That's when we continued, sort of went and caught up with the Sharks. Yeah. Met Flanagan and that at the Leagues Club, and sort of handshake agreed that I'm happy, I'm coming. Yep. But then it just got stopped right there. So far out.
And then pretty much within a week, that's Cam had told the boys he's going to Dragons. Yeah. Robbie signed, and just all happened then.
What's your headspace there like? Because you feel like finally I'm at the Rabbitohs. I feel like I'm working my way into this side, and then they go and sign someone that clearly is going to get the jump on me. Are you frustrated with the club because you're losing opportunities?
Yeah, I was a little bit, because that's I thought that we'd I'd learned my trade there, and I learned the systems. I thought I was going to get my crack with Kegel, but I think when Robbie come, I was like, well, why the hell would they sign him and not play him? So I almost knew. I was like, well, they're definitely going to start him.
Absolutely.
He's definitely going to be starting. So and that's how it pretty much happened. 17 was very similar to 16, just with Cam and with Robbie, not Cam.
Yep. It's at this point he's starting to go far out. Like I cannot catch a break. Like I just need one season of regular footy kind of thing.
That's what I was. I had goals along the way that and the 16 games I think I had at half the season I think it was 14 games, so I got that goal. So the next year I was like, I want to play all the games the next season. And when Robbie was there, I played all but one game. And so that was another good season in a way. Just playing regular footy and to proving to myself that I was a regular first grader as well. So that was good. I learned a lot off Robbie, but competing against Robbie at training and the quality of player that he was, like one of the best hookers to play the game, and me going sort of toe-to-toe with him at training, I got a lot of belief out of that I can play first grade, and I do belong here if I just get my crack and stick at it.
And so you kind of felt like I can match it with the best of them, so I'd belong here. It gave you that little bit of spark that may have been missing for a few months or whatever kind of thing.
Yeah, so train alongside him and I was playing. I felt like I was building my game each year. I felt like my defence was getting better, which was always an issue when I was younger. So I felt like I was always getting better and better each year, which Madge was into me about as well. So, and the attack as well, making sure everything's not done at 100 mile an hour as well, trying to pull it back a little bit. So I felt like I'd learned it right. And even though it took me a long time to get to the start of 18, where I got my starting jersey, I felt like all those things that happened along the way
helped you to get to that point.
Me get to that point. So, yeah.
Do you ever remember a session with Madge that was like so hectic? What's the most hectic session you've ever did?
The wrestle sessions.
Like the wrestle session?
Yeah. Well, and I just remember like there was one where it was pretty much just like a run it straight competition. Like you just had to get a ball at the other end of the mat, and there was two lines. You keep joining the end of the line, and you just running as hard as you can at you. I remember I had Paul Carter the first ever time I had it.
Yep.
Chris Gresmill was another one.
Yeah,
which,
you can hit Chris Gresmill.
They were just little fast bricks, and they just they'll torture sessions, shark bait, all that sort of stuff. Anyone that's played Madge come from Melbourne system, so Melbourne would know it, the South would know it. It's just
what's shark bait?
It's just like that thing at the end of wrestling, a wrestle session where you got to get double unders. But I think you got to do 3 in a row or do 3 in the middle before you change again. But it's just a big lineup. There's 3 guys in the middle.
Yeah.
And you just keep running out. I've got to try and get double unders under you, and then I've got to stay in there for 2 more. And it's just torture at the end of the wrestle.
Yeah, you're already buggered in that.
These are hour and a half sessions. And it's,
wrestling too.
Yeah.
What's the biggest hit you've ever seen of the boys in that sessions? Where you was just like, it got intense, like blow-ups, deluxe.
There's almost been little fights.
Yeah.
Little fights here and there, but what's the biggest hit?
What about fights, blow-ups? Who's had a blow-up?
Cody
Walker?
Yeah, he probably had a blow-up a couple of times.
A little sook. Yeah. I could just imagine Walker fucking blowing up.
The funniest was watching Greg. Like, Greg just put enough effort in to wrestle everyone. You know what I mean? Like, he'd just stand there and like I'd be fighting like hell to move him, and he'd just stand there a little bit, and then he'd just like when he wanted it done, he'd just toss me to the side. Fuck. Even Big George would come out, he'd just sort of wrestle with him. No, he was unbelievably strong.
So GI could literally wrestle any front rowers, wingers. He'd dominate them.
Yeah.
Was there any time where he just snapped and was just throwing blokes?
Yeah, if you got him to, he'd definitely dominate anyone if he really wanted to. But technically wise wrestling, John was the best. John Sutton.
Okay.
But he'd been doing it a long time, obviously.
Yeah, 50 years or something.
Yeah, so he knew what he was doing. Big hits. I can't really remember many big hits in the wrestle room because obviously not too much space to work with.
Who's the biggest punish that trains like 100 miles an hour all the time?
Gussie was full on, but I enjoyed it, so it was hard.
What, Crichton?
Yeah, Angus Crichton.
Angus Crichton.
I used to love watching it because it involves Cody again, which is great.
Yeah.
So he trains 100 mile an hour. He trains like he plays as well, and that's you got to love it. But when you're tackling him at train, sometimes he's full on, but he's like, I've got to practice my lines. Like he's so good at it, so
absolutely.
You see why. But when you're in the middle and they're doing like edge on edge stuff, and Angus is just hammering lines. Cody's the half. It's just funny to watch.
And you just like you just know Cody's going fucking hell. Like it's fucking training, man. I'm tiny. I'm getting jammed with this massive. That. Oh, that's fucking great. That's great. Okay, so 2018 rolls around, and I guess this is essentially it. What's crazy to think is like this is only like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, really. But you become the first choice hooker over Robbie Farah. Now, what was that? Was it hard because he's such an established player, and so was there not a tension there? Because like I'm sure you were teammates, but sometimes it is tough because when big players get replaced, there is this. It's like a big vacuum kind of thing.
Yeah, I felt. Look, Steve's had obviously been assistant coach the year before, so
Yeah.
I'm feeling he might have watched me throughout that year as well. But I think what helped me a lot too, I had a really good combination with Cody and Reno, and I think when I got the put in front of Robbie to start, Steve's put a lot of trust in me to get the job done, and put a lot of belief in what to do the job as well, which helped. But having Robbie, behind you, putting that pressure on, you just couldn't stuff up. You had to be on your toes. You had to be good every week, or else they just put Robbie back in.
Yeah,
his experience, the quality player is. So Robbie doesn't know it, but having him there really pushed me along and kept me going. Yeah.
Absolutely, it's kind of like the perfect storm to bring the best out in you.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously he'd be disappointed because he'd want to start, but you're totally right. And that what works in his favour as well is, as you said, his experience.
Yeah.
So they don't have to worry about whether he can or can't do it.
Yeah.
They just go, yeah, we'll chuck him in.
They
It's
know
all
he can
good.
do it. Yeah.
Okay, so that year, and it's easily your most successful. You made your debut for New South Wales. You played for Australia. Do you remember the call up for New South Wales?
Yes, I do. I remember we got off the plane from New Zealand, and I was turning my phone back on, and some of the boys were prank calling me.
Oh no!
So
who was prank calling you?
You can guess it.
Cody Walker.
Cody straight up. He's a punish. Think about just going through all the things he's done, but I still remember I grabbed my phone real quick, and he's pissing himself laughing at me, then telling everyone else.
Because were they doing it because that you might get the call?
Yeah.
Oh, so they wanted to see you get excited.
Yeah. So I think they'll just G me up too, because they knew you'd probably be making the calls. It was a Sunday afternoon.
Okay. They wanted to see you get pumped up and then go, oh, fuck off.
I remember sitting in the unit when Mrs. at the tables, or Courtney at the table, and we were pretty much just playing cards and just hoping for the phone to ring, just sitting there waiting for the phone to ring.
Oh, anxiety.
So that's all it was. And I think it was 8:30 at night, and all he did was ring me and goes, "Hey mate, you ready to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, mate, can't wait. Awesome." He goes, "All right, see you Kent tomorrow," and just hung up. So I was like,
"Sweet,
am I playing? Am I squad?"
Yeah.
I
You
didn't know what
anything.
was going. So it was. It got cleared up a little bit after that when Ello from South, our team manager, sort of rang and explained a bit more. So Freddie was obviously making the calls around to everyone.
Just quickly around,
But I was ready for a great chat with Freddie.
All this anticipation.
Sweet, done.
Boom.
Yeah. So,
and what was that like? You turned to the misso, or you just fuck, I'm playing for New South Wales. Last year, I couldn't even get a starting spot.
So that was, mate, pretty surreal moment. Few tears here and there. More tears actually when I rang mum and dad to tell them.
Yeah.
And then sort of had to give the phone to Courtney. I was because I couldn't talk anymore.
Oh, really?
So then she'd explain to them what was going on. So
on.
It was a special moment. Yeah.
Wow, far out. It's to think the year before you were pushing, trying to make that your Rabbitoh squad, and then boom, get selected. Okay, so you play in all 3 games, and it's the first series win since 14. You play. It's a fantastic series, really. What do you remember from that first game, your Origin debut, when you put that jersey on? Is there anything that you specifically
skin tight? I remember
skin
that.
Tight.
We had it
you would have loved that,
mate. So it was really nice. Struggled to breathe, but ever since that, I've had to wear smaller jerseys down at South as well. Just it's something about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It gets you in the mode, I reckon.
Yeah, it feels right. And,
yep.
That first game, I remember running out. Where was it? Down in Perth, and Melbourne.
Melbourne.
And that was a hell of an atmosphere. I think how many did they fit in the
80,000 or something, something crazy.
And it was just packed, deafening sound as you're running out, and then the national anthem. And just remember, the start of the game, there was so much going on that they couldn't hear a thing. What we're doing.
Oh yeah, because it was just
everything on top of you. So, mate, I just remember. New Queensland just flying off their line. It was just it was like they were offside again. But they're just flying up and just whacking it, and I was just and that's how the game went. The game went just like that for ages. And I still remember Moose Maguire. I still remember the first run I took, and he just gave me a little welcome to Origin on my face.
Oh, really? Face palm?
But he's that's when I just sort of knew that I was in that arena from that moment. So that was special.
That's good, and it's so true. Like all that little stuff, it is a part of Origin. Like it is a part of Origin. Yeah. And so that game, did you feel like it was a step above? Like obviously it was a step above club game, but were you expecting the difference?
Everyone was obviously spoken about how fast it is. I think what makes it fast is you get your 20 minutes of consistent, or not even that, get your 15 minutes of consistent footy on a weekend. Like the best part of an NRL game on a weekend where it just goes set for set, no errors, no penalties, and it's just like that for like 70 minutes of the game. So it's just so consistent. Obviously the refs are good. They sort of let things go and try and keep the game flowing. That's what everyone wants to see. And but that's what it was like, very fast pace. And plus the nerves on top, heart rate's going. You feel a bit buggered a lot quicker before you sort of calm down and get your second breath again. Yeah. Okay,
so you win that series. What's it like when the siren goes, you win the series? What's the feeling like?
Well, it was in game 2 as well. So it go bang bang. So I never understood how it was to lose an Origin, or lose an Origin game. So it was very surreal how it all happened. Still remember, I think Jet got sent for 10. And we're down to 12 players and pretty much defended our line the whole time. And I think it was only about 12 minutes to go. So the Queensland were just hammering our try line. And the way that last 10 minutes, how stressful it was. But I think we got the ball back, ended up down on their try line. And I think I put a little kick in and they dived on it. And then that was it. That was all over. That was the game. So and everyone ran in, huddle. Yeah.
How good's that? Okay, so then do you remember getting called up for the Australian side?
So I got a call from Greg, who was captain. It was meant to be captain for that game.
Yeah.
But then, so I got a call. He said, mate, I've got to tell you that you've been picked. I was too excited not to let Mal call you. I had to call you. So, which was great to get it from him, from Greg as well, playing with him alongside at club level. So I got the call and didn't really speak to Mal until we sort of got to camp. Which was a few days later, and he sort of just goes, sorry, I've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to call you. Congrats. So, but that was another, I didn't even, you have goals that you put out each year. Like I said before, I had one with 14 games, then the whole year. And I always had Origin on there because I always, just wanted to aim high and try and reach those. But then for it to all happen in 1 year and have the Aussie jersey, that was, that was incredible. I didn't even think,
didn't even think it was a possibility that year.
Not just how it all happened. Yeah.
And do you remember putting on the jersey? Anything from the game you remember?
Yeah, I remember getting the jersey and I sort of just held it for a while and I was sort of just reading the name, the tag on it. We versed the Kiwis, which was obviously who you want to come up against as well.
Absolutely.
For when you're playing for Australia. And, in that game. Something about the crowd wasn't completely packed over in New Zealand. It wasn't completely packed. It was, and we ended up winning that game. No, sorry, we lost that game. But the week after, we versed Tonga in the first game that we got to play against Tonga.
Oh, what was that like?
And that's when it was crazy. I remember just the bus ride in. It was just completely covered in red fans in red jerseys, red shirts, flags, and everything lying on the streets. The Tongans all had the Aussie flag. Some of them had the Aussie flag with them as well.
That's cool.
I remember being out there on the field. And probably two moments that stand out is just when we're singing the national anthem and they sung the Tongan national anthem first, and we're like, well, no one's here to sing ours.
Yeah.
So we started singing ours, and the 10 people in the crowd, or Aussies, and then the next thing you know, all the Tongans just started singing the national anthem as well. And that gives me goosebumps right now.
100%.
Very special, and that was an awesome experience. And then the other one was they just non-stop sung and made noise.
That's crazy.
The whole game, and it was just deafening when they scored a try. I remember they scored one of their first tries of the game, and the crowd just erupted where your ears were ringing in your ear.
Really?
Yeah. So a special moment.
It's just some things are bigger than footy. For them to be singing our national anthem, it's just it's an incredible moment. It speaks so well to their culture as well. For all of them to be doing it, you know what I mean? That's deeper than it's not organised. It's nothing. They just want to sing our national anthem too. Yeah. Do you think that's probably one of the most unique experiences you've had with footy?
Yeah, definitely. It'd be up there. One of the top ones for me. It's just because it stopped me from singing. Like I was singing the national anthem. Next thing you know, they went over the top of everyone. Like the whole crowd just started singing it, and it was just sort of had to stop and
take it in,
realise what was going on for a second, and then continue singing along with them.
Really? Yeah. That's awesome, bro. That's so good. Okay, so you play that game. The next year, you get obviously selected again to play for New South Wales, and that try, bro. Walk us through that try. So you jump out of hooker.
Who was?
Had you been working on that? As in, like, were you working a certain player over to get to that point, or was just?
No, I just always look for someone just not quite ready, I guess, at marker or a bit of a slow third man that's, just sort of a bit of space somewhere to work with. The thing with Origin, always having Teddy around, he just pops up wherever I ran, and just I knew if I ever went that he'd be there, and so that put a lot of confidence in me to back myself to take those runs, and that's what Freddie wanted me to do. And I can't remember who was it. I can, but I'm not going to say who was at mark. But I remember
who was at fullback.
Munsell was at fullback.
Oh
yeah. So he got me back this year, didn't we? So
actually, that is a fucking payback.
Yeah, but a little bit left, a little bit right. Oh no, right, left.
If I gave him a shimmy, bros.
Yeah, shimmy straight over.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's 1-1 then.
Beach spinner strikes again.
That means that next year, bro, it's got to even up. Well, not even up the score. It'll be a victory.
Hopefully it's my turn again.
Fucking hell, that's crazy.
He's had too many turns.
Mate, he's such a good Origin player. It's crazy. Okay, and then the game 3, when Teddy scores that match winner, what was going through your head?
So they scored that second try, and we're like, all right, we'll just get through these 2 sets. We'll take it to golden point, and that'll be it. Oh, we'll go to golden point and assess from there. So it just, I don't know, both teams were completely dead on the field there. Like there was no energy in the game, and like I still remember I passed the ball to Cam, and it was probably like pass the ball to Cam, and the next thing you know, Cam's just running like. All right, over the top of the next middle to Pearce, and then Pearce throws it over. Next thing, you're running along, but like struggling. Next thing you know, he's just tiptoeing along the sideline.
Yep.
And it just all like it would run me. I can't remember Jakey avoided. I think it was maybe we're on the hunt. We're running like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, like what's happening? What's happening?
So,
and then like looking around, we just won.
You had the energy to get to the huddle, but I remember just like holding on, but I was just like leaning on. I'm like, fuck, it's over. Like,
thank God.
I'm so tired.
Man, that was it was incredible. That try, the finish, like just an epic finish. Like obviously it was fucking us losing, but
you have done it so many times. Like I hated watching Origin. Just the last 10 minutes. I just knew, like, I was like, fuck, Queensland is going to get the ball to Greggy here, and Greggy will do something
crazy
and set up a try. And like it just happened so many times when New South Wales up by 2 points.
Yeah,
and it happened. So
like Cooper Cronk field goal, Lockyer runs through, grabs the ball.
So it was good to get one back.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely did. Yeah. Because we were coming back into that game, and it looked like we were going to run over you because it was a momentum swing.
Yeah,
scored 2 tries back to back, and then boom, Teddy. Also, what was it like? The Seabold leaving and Wayne coming. You were obviously at the club when that all happened. What from a player's perspective, what happened with that?
It was very weird time, I guess. I had a great relationship with Seeves as well. He'd been really good for me. So we didn't know what was going on, but it got to a point for the players where we were like, well, we don't care who the hell's coaching us, but we've got a season, we've got to start. Because Seeves was doing some coaching, but he wasn't really teaching too much stuff because he didn't want to coach us too much because he felt like he was going to Brisbane.
Okay.
And then he wasn't, then he was. And we got to a point as players where it's like, hurry up and get this done because we want to get on with the season and just, whoever our coach is, just hurry up and sort it out. So it made sense for it just to swap then because I don't understand why when both teams had signed the coach for the following year, why bother just wasted another year of time, so just get on with it now, swap now. So, and that's what happened.
Was it tough because you guys had kind of like come through with Seabold, like he had learnt his trade with you guys.
Yeah, I guess that part was a little bit tough where, like I said, I'd trained with him, then he was the head coach and he put me, as a starting hooker and put a lot of trust in me. But then obviously with Wayne, Yeah, you're like, oh, Wayne Bennett, how good.
Yeah, it's true.
I've spoken to Sam more than anyone about it. And he obviously he was being coached by him in England side. Got to know him. He just spoke about how good he would be for me. And that got me really excited to be coached by him. Obviously, anyone would be quite excited for that.
And so, what's something that Wayne has brought that has surprised you?
His humour. I can't believe how funny he actually is. Sometimes he says some jokes that just aren't funny, but you laugh.
Yeah, you laugh anyway.
Just save face. Just in case, just laugh.
Don't want to get dropped.
Yeah. So, but then the other things is he backs you to do whatever you want as long as you execute.
Yeah.
If you do a chip and chase in the middle of a field, which none of us have, but if we did it and regathered and play on, he'd be like, "How good's that?"
Yep.
If you do it and you stuff up, he'll fucking roast you for it.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing with him. Just make sure if you're going to do something, execute, and if not, stick to the game plan. Stick to the simple game plan that's worked for all these years.
If you're going to bloody take that risk, you'd better work.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the next 12 months happens perfectly, what are you? Is it like a reality that you guys want to win a premiership next year? Like that's absolutely the goal, kind of thing.
Yes. So I think we're building to that. I guess 18 we had a great start of the season and fell off, but we held it because we'd done so well at the start of the season. We had enough points to get to the finals, and we beat the right teams, but weren't good enough to beat. In the last three prelims, we've got the Roosters in their best year where they sort of started their run.
Yep.
We get the Raiders the next year where they had their red hot season, and then we get the Panthers this year when they had their top side.
So true.
I won't say we've been unlucky. You make your own luck, but we've got to make the top four. But that's where you get you earn that sort of rest week if you can get it. Definitely showed in the grand final, I think, and the prelims. Sorry, in the prelims.
Yep.
But for us, it's definitely a premiership. I think this year we had a successful season, like you said, with the experience we gained from the season we have for the younger boys, and obviously a new leadership group with Sam and all that gone. So I think nothing but a premiership would be really on the cards this year.
So it's like basically like top four, absolutely, to give yourself that best chance, and then premiership.
Yeah.
And I ask all the boys his favourite rapper of all time.
Favourite rapper of all time? Eminem.
Eminem?
Yeah.
Favourite movie of all time?
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to say Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, that is a great movie.
Yeah.
That is a great movie. Who's the best player you've ever played against where you've just been like, fuck, honestly?
Played against, honestly, would have to say Munster.
Munster?
I don't know what it is about him. He's just...
that game 3, is that the best you've ever seen him play?
Yeah, but I also enjoy watching him... Geez, this whole podcast has been about him.
He's scarred you, bro. He's scarred you.
But he's... I got along with him really well off the field, but I enjoy watching him on it. He's a footballer that backs himself, does whatever he wants. There's been heaps of good players to play. Currently, he's definitely up there.
Up there with the best. And I think that's it, bro. That's it. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having me.
Boom.